what's up YouTube friends and family? My name is Gaby Baby, and in this video I'm going to show you how to use an EQ to improve your audio quality. Whether you're a music producer, audio engineer, filmmaker, voice actor, or any sort of content creator, an EQ is an essential tool you need to know how to use to make your audio sound as best as possible. So I'm going to take you through a few different scenarios, show you some common uses for an EQ, and also share some common mistakes people make when using an EQ. Stick around to the end of the video because I'm going to show you my 3 favorite EQ plugins, and if at any point during this video you learned something new or got some value, please click the like button, or if you have any questions or anything was unclear, drop it in the comments and I'll do my best to answer or make a whole new video answering your question. So hey, let's get right on into it. Okay, so you may be screaming at the screen right now, Gaby Baby, what in the world is an EQ? What does that word even mean? EQ is short for the word equalizer. An equalizer is a very commonly used tool in audio that lets you boost or cut different bands of frequency. If you don't know what frequency is, I'm gonna leave some research right here. Pause the screen, read up, and then hit play when you're ready. Good? Got it? Great. So typically, you're going to find 2 different kinds of EQs. First kind is a graphic EQ, like 7Q by Manda Audio. Graphic EQs give you predetermined bands of frequency that you can boost or cut to your liking. Here you see we have 20, 63, 200, 630, 2000, 6300, and 20,000 hertz. And this is a very, very great plugin. Definitely recommend 7Q. Very simple, and it's free. The second kind of EQ you're likely going to find is a parametric EQ, kind of like Ableton's EQ8. Parametric EQs allow you to select a band of frequency, boost or cut it how you see fit, and also, many of them give you the ability to adjust the Q, which is the slope of that boost or cut. Now, EQs do a lot more powerful things. Ableton's EQ7 allows you to change it to a shelf EQ, where you're boosting or cutting everything that's lower or higher than a frequency you select. Also lets you do complete low cuts, complete high cuts, etc., etc. My preference is using a parametric EQ, and especially one like Ableton's EQ8, which shows you the frequencies coming in that the plugin is seeing. So let's talk about some typical EQ uses in music, and then I'm going to shift over to this audio recording of just my vocal for all of you videographers, voice actors, content creators out there that need to use EQ to improve the sound quality of their vocals. So typically in music, there's a few different uses for an EQ. The first one is just shaping the tone of a sound. So for example, this piano sound. If I put an EQ on this, and if you see I'm boosting the high and low ends in different areas, it's going to give me a different tone and sound. Now, depending on what the song sounds like, it's gonna sound better. You just got to experiment. Let me play you the full beat now so you can hear what it sounds like. So I could hear that piano a lot better when I boosted this high frequency here around 3K. So I'm gonna leave that as it is. Second very common use of an EQ in music is low cutting every sound that's not a bass sound. So in hip hop and EDM, and this beat particularly, the 808 and kick drum are very punchy and they need room to sound loud. If different sounds of different frequencies start sort of mixing together, you might get distorted sounds and a lot of clutter. every sound needs to fit within its own band or part of the EQ spectrum or the frequency spectrum. So if there's a lot of sounds in the bass, it's going to get cluttered, it's going to sound muddy. If there's a lot of sounds with high-end information, it might just get it might start hurting your ears, might sound really harsh. So a really common use of an EQ is cutting out the bass of everything that's not like a 808 or kick drum. I already did it here on my loop. Now without the EQ on, you're going to hear that it kind of sounds very muddy in the bass. Can't hear the 808 too well, it's not really coming through. If I turn on this EQ and I take out all the low end of the sample, it's starting to get a little clearer. Now same thing, if I put this EQ on the drums, you're going to see that we have this low end information coming in. And I just boosted it as loud as I could, and it barely made an audible difference. So all of that low end information that's coming in with the drums is mixing with the 808 and kind of taking away from the 808, right? It's not letting the 808 be the star of the show. So I'm just going to cut out the low ends of this drum track. And I'm listening to the clap, and I'm also watching for the fundamental frequency of the clap. The fundamental frequency is the lowest audible frequency in a sound. So I think it's somewhere around here. So now there's no more low-end information clashing with the 808, okay? So we got shaping the tone of the sound, we got cutting out the lows of every sound that's not a bass, and the last thing that you can do in a lot of musical situations is slightly boost the high end to give sounds more clarity in the mix. So here on my drum track, I'm going to use the same 808, I shouldn't keep dragging EQs. I'm going to use the same EQ, and I'm going to start boosting the high end, and take a listen at how the hi-hat and the clap sounds when I start boosting the high end. Starting to punch through the mix a little bit more. There's not so much happening in the super high end of this mix, so boosting the highs of the drums is going to be helpful. Same thing if I go to the piano, start boosting some highs. Already did that before. So you can see the piano sounds a lot more clear. Also, just a quick tip, lots of times people will put EQs or filters on a whole group of audio. Check what happens when I cut out the high end of all of this. You kind of might recognize that sort of underwater sound effect. Okay, so that's what happens when you cut out all the highs of audio that's grouped together. Very popular use of EQ. Awesome. Any questions, anything that was unclear, drop it in a comment below. I'll do my best to reply it. But now let's move on to vocals and vocal recording. Okay, here's what we got. Gaby baby, thank you so much for the EQ lessons. I just love learning about everything you have to tell me about equalizers. You're the man. Thank you so much, Gabe. I'm going to subscribe to your channel, leave a like on this video, and write a really long comment. Thank you. So nice. Was a bit of a cheesy recording, but I was trying to really like do some high end, low end, kind of fluctuate my voice a bit, just so you can get an idea of what's going on. So kind of like the music part that I was talking about, if you cut out a lot of unnecessary low-end information,
Gaby baby, thank you so much for the EQ lessons. I just love learning about everything you have to tell me about equalizers.
you're really not taking much away from what you can hear. A lot of times if you hear like an air conditioner or some rumbling or background noise, a lot of those are low-end sounds that are going to creep into your recording, and the low cut is just going to get rid of them. Same thing like we talked about with high-end. Adding some high-end can add some clarity to your vocal.
Gaby baby, thank you so much for the EQ lessons. I just love learning about everything you...
Now don't go too crazy. A lot of times people go really crazy with the EQ, and that's one mistake you don't want to make is doing such dramatic effects that it's going to start sounding a bit unnatural. Okay? So we got low cut, we got high boosting, but the last thing I want to talk about is what I call the search and destroy method. Okay? So what happens in a lot of audio recordings is you get some sort of unwanted resonant frequencies. Okay? And resonant frequencies are just byproducts of recording audio that are going to creep into your sound. So in this spectrum of sound, there are some really harsh frequencies that we want to kind of duck down a little bit and get rid of. And let's see how the way we find them. First, we got to search. So I'm going to take a really high Q and I'm going to just sweep through this.
Gaby baby, thank you so much for the EQ lessons. I just love learning about everything you have to tell me about equalizers. You're the man. Thank you so much.
And once you find a harsh sort of frequency like that, you can just cut it the tiniest bit.
Gaby baby, thank you so much for the EQ lesson.
Let's find another horrible resonant frequency.
Gaby baby, thank you so much for the EQ lessons. I just love learning about...
Found a horrible frequency. Oops. I'm just going to cut it.
Gaby baby, thank you so much for the EQ lessons.
So one thing you want to avoid is if you're doing the search and destroy method is doing a really harsh cut like this, because that's going to
Gaby baby, thank you.
Kind of sound unnatural. Okay, so let's turn this EQ on and off to see if this improved our sound quality at all. Here's it with it off.
Gaby baby, thank you so much for the EQ lessons. I just love learning about everything you have to tell me about equalizers. You're the man. Thank you so much, Gabe. I'm going to subscribe to your channel. Leave a like on this video.
So what we did there, we took out a lot of that unnecessary low rumble, any sort of background noise and rumble that could be happening. We boosted the high end a little bit to give us some clarity, and we cut out some resonant frequencies that were getting in the way. You can apply this same method of search and destroy to vocals on a music track, like a rapper or a singer and that kind of jargon. But yeah, those are the three methods that I really like to use. Low cut, high boost, search and destroy. Of course, you can use EQ to shape the tone of any sound in a music piece or composition. But for the most part, that's how I like to use an EQ. Okay? So thank you for sticking around the video so far. Like I said at the beginning of the video, I want to show you my 3 favorite EQ plugins. First one is Q10 by Waves. Awesome parametric EQ. Gives you 10 different bands to adjust. So lots of control. I also like the rainbow colors. It's pretty sweet. My second favorite EQ plugin is the one that we've been looking at this whole time, Ableton EQ8, because it's a stock plugin. You don't have to do no downloading or weird licensing or whatever. It just comes right in the DAW. It sounds awesome. It does everything you need it to do and want it to do. And my third favorite EQ is the PuigTec EQ by Waves. This is a emulation of, Jesus, my contacts, I can't see anything, of vintage EQ hardware. It sounds really great on vocals, musical vocals, singing vocals. I'm sure you could try it on a voiceover or a video. See how it sounds. Again, just the key to all of this is experimenting and adjusting, right? Be a scientist, be a perfectionist, and hone in on your sound. Okay. Awesome. Well, that's it for me. Thank you so much for watching. Again, my name is Gaby Baby. If you have any other questions or any suggestions for videos, drop them in the comments below. you want to see more beat making videos, audio editing tips, things of that nature, subscribe to my channel, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Take care. Bye-bye.